How are you able to differentiate MindFi from the existing mental health apps like Calm?
So we focus on being routine friendly, right, in terms of our mental health exercises and programs. Unlike other apps like Calm or even Headspace as well, which requires you to do a very traditional type of mindfulness meditation. And in terms of the market, we actually fit into HR benefits, especially the wellness component. In Asia Pacific alone, right, this is a $9 billion US dollars market.
Really?
Right?
Wow.
Yeah, even before the pandemic. So I think a pandemic has, probably driven this. It's also the fastest growing region across the entire world.
Welcome to The Pitch by Garage, where we deep dive into startups and tech and learn key business building skills from entrepreneurs, business leaders, and experts. Today, I'm excited to have a conversation with Bjorn Lee, founder and CEO of MindFi. Hi Bjorn, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Vanessa.
Before we get started, tell me more about yourself and your company.
So I've been in the startup industry for almost 18 years now. I started my career in Silicon Valley, moving to Beijing, China, before moving back to Singapore. MindFi is one of Asia's leading technology provider of mental wellness solutions in the workplace. We provide a mobile app that delivers one-on-one therapy, group coaching, and also uses AI to personalize self-care. We are active in over 16 APAC countries, and we are very proud to have Y Combinator and other prominent investors backing us through this journey.
The mental health industry is still pretty nascent, if not as well publicized as other industries. So how big exactly is this market?
So we are a corporate mental health startup, right? And in terms of the market, we actually fit into HR benefits, especially the wellness component. In Asia Pacific alone, right, this is a $9 billion US dollars market.
Really?
Right?
Wow.
Yeah, even before the pandemic. Some of the biggest players in this space includes companies like Bupa, Mercer, maybe even Virgin Pulse as well.
How do you plan to position MindFi among many other mental health players?
We do prioritize our solution to be more B2B for the workplace rather than consumers, because I think that the pioneers in this field, such as Calm, right, needs to drive this in the consumer world first. So in this space, we actually see ourselves not just as a mental health startup, but because we are B2B focused, so we actually see ourselves as HR technology startup as well, right? So within the HR function, we actually deal more with the benefits teams, right, employee benefits teams, or also the learning and development teams as well.
In the Asian society, mental health or mental troubles might be something very taboo to talk about. So how do you get all these conversations going among your customers or among your target audience?
So the first thing we do is that we focus on not mental health, but mind fitness, because that's less stigmatizing, right? And actually that's what MindFi stands for as well, right? Because mind fitness is really more about how you equate fitness, traditionally associated with the body, to that of the mind. And so we take a more performance-oriented view towards developing your mental health, right? You want to be more productive, you want to become a better team manager, you want to become a better leader, a better entrepreneur. So we really break down mental health into these bread and butter issues in the workplace.
So does it mean that someone has to be troubled in their minds to use the app?
Oh, absolutely not. But let's say if they actually get into a moderate level or high level of trouble or stress, of course they should use it, but it's also built for those who are functioning at their peak capacities as well.
But with your data that you record in your app, I'm sure you can have some sort of signs where you can tell, okay, perhaps this person is a bit more troubled than others. So what do you do with all this data?
We are able to know that, but it's actually stored in encrypted servers. So even ourselves may not know it, but we are able to actually use various encryption protocols to actually identify. And what we'll do is that we take this model of a stepped care model, right, that's actually used in the medical field to recommend the most clinical, most relevant type of professionals for those in need.
In the future, say a large pharmaceutical company wants to work with you, but at the same time, there is also the risk of the data and the privacy. How are you going to deal with it?
We actually follow very industry standard information security and privacy policies, such as HIPAA, GDPR, right, which is a superset of our own government's PDPA, or even ISO 27001 standards as well. As a software company, you must be very responsible to make sure information privacy is key. When we work with the pharmaceutical companies in the future, we have been in talks with them actually. What we will do is to make sure that we ensure that user security is actually guarded first before we actually work with them to recommend any kinds of solutions or medicines to them.
So how did you manage to acquire your first large corporate client and eventually grow your clientele base to include Visa?
Well, this was back in early 2020. I cannot name this client for now, but they had about 5,000 employees all across Asia, and they wanted to be ahead of the curve in delivering mental health solutions. And so they designed this specific challenge with us, focus on the mind, and roll it out for their staff. So we had over 1 million minutes clocked out in just 1 to 2 months of using the app. It was very popular, and that gave us confidence to actually productize that, improve the app, add in new mental health offerings as well, and roll it out eventually to clients, Fortune 500 clients like Visa.
How do you measure the success metrics when it comes to programs like this?
Corporates are very, especially leaders, are very focused on return on investments as well, right?
Exactly.
And that should be important, sure, but at the same time as well, we also do education to inform them about how the health and well-being of their employees do actually translate into actual productivity gains. So our analytics will actually, will study and analyze the employee data, anonymize and aggregate them, so that we can show the health, well-being and productivity improvements or trends of the entire workforce. So this can be done at a monthly or even a quarterly level. With certain clients, we can even benchmark that with their internal employee engagement surveys or even their insurance or sick days and leave days taken as well, to actually draw any kind of productivity patterns or conclusions for them.
MindFi made headlines when you first raised funds from really notable investors, including angel investors from Carousel, Caro, and Spin. How do you advise younger founders to go to, all these big brand names, angel investors, or big VCs to raise funds?
Well, I would think of it as perhaps giving advice to a much younger version of myself. Don't always pick the low-hanging fruits, right? Because they may be worth more pain in the long term, even if they give you a short-term relief. It's a long journey, right? They may join you during the ups, but you want to know that they are there for you during the downs as well. So you want to think of certain questions or scenarios and social situations that you meet the investors, right? And ask them certain questions to know whether they are doing this because they really believe in you, out of their organization's goals or out of their own personal values.
And what can we expect to see from MindFi over the next few years?
We really want to drive this new community-centric model of mental health and make it non-stigmatized and inclusive, right? That's why we actually want to see ourselves more as a mind fitness company and how we can build fit minds at work and in their lives as well. There is an unmet need between what the workforce requires and what HR leaders are designing or planning to provide. And we want to match that gap as well to deliver a healthier and a more positive working environment.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I think I learned a lot about your entrepreneurship journey, fundraising, as well as the mental health space, which is not really talked about in this region. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Vanessa.
I hope you have learned valuable lessons on business building and the mental health space. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a like, leave a comment, share this video, and hit subscribe for more episodes on startups and tech. This has been The Pitch by Garage. Stay safe and entrepreneurial.